My shoulders started to come back first that I remember, my neck and shoulders. And when I say coming back, I was able to move them. And so it's just very small movements.
He had his swallow study, which caused him to aspirate and caused pneumonia, so that was kind of a step back.
I was freezing cold. They're adding heated blankets onto me at the same time that they're trying to figure out where to send me.
And then he was transferred to the ICU for about a week, and then another step-down unit. So we were kind of being moved around a lot. So the talk was to go to like a long-term care facility first.
So then I came up with the idea, I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing here? I'm a veteran. I know that I could be at the VA. I told my wife, I'm like, VA or however that communication was. At that point, I don't know if I was talking or not. I was in the VA within a day or so. All that they needed was a negative COVID test. Then I'd be in quarantine for, first it was 2 weeks. So I'm like, whatever, like no visitors. Luckily when I got there, they switched the COVID rules to 1 week. So I had to spend 7 days alone. And at that point, like I said, my shoulders were opening up. As soon as I became unparalyzed, it was a great thing because it meant I could move my body again, but it turned me into unbelievable nerve pain in that area. So it was constantly firing. Think of like electricity.
When all of that sensation was coming back, it was very painful for him.
Nobody could come to the hospital, even my mother, even Chris's parents that we're so close to. That was the hardest part of this whole process. Max was 5 months old when I went in, and there wasn't a moment that went by that I didn't think about him. So that was the most painful thing mentally, was not seeing my son. Still at this time, this was July, so about 2 months away from him. And then it's like, okay, what's next? And when can I hold my son again? When can I see my son?
Self-care was kind of out the window. I wasn't really talking to friends a lot, wasn't really communicating, wasn't going out. Because I felt like every time that I went out, I felt really guilty that Drew was stuck staring at the ceiling and I was out trying to enjoy my time, and that really didn't sit well with me. So I wanted to spend a lot of time with Max too, because Drew wasn't able to see him. So I wanted to kind of be two parents in that sense. So that was really hard. There was a lot of trauma that went along with that.
We had an emergency fund of about 4 months at the time. So while my wife sat next to me in the hospital, she didn't have to worry about paying the electrical bill. It was already on automatic payment.
Having a plan in place for when things don't go right is really important.
Basically, she could sit there with me and only worry about the major things that were happening in my body, in my mind, and not about the cable bill. I could go on forever about the amount of support that we had from organizations, Wound Award Project that I'm a volunteer with. They came in, they supported me, wrote me letters.
We did a GoFundMe, so our friends were really instrumental in kind of helping with that, because I was out of work, and when I don't work, I don't get paid. So that was a really big hit for us too. So the GoFundMe and the outside organizations that kind of stepped in to sort of help us with finances was instrumental as well.
I started to ask doctors and nurses, when can I go home? When is this gonna be better? When can I get my arms back? Like, I was asking very specific questions, and it came back one of two ways. It was either, it depends, because Guillain-Barre affects less than 20,000 people a year, so there's not a lot of studies on it. The second thing was a long medical answer. Whether I was in a tough spot mentally at the time or not, I started to veer off as soon as they threw medical terminology and definitions. So I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know if I was gonna be back. I don't know if I could hold my son again.